Virginia and Ohio have launched a joint effort to explore three-year bachelor's degrees. Joining us now to discuss is Zachary Marschall, editor-in-chief of Campus Reform. So good afternoon, Zachary. Thank you for being on the show today. So I just want to
Great to be
get your
here.
thoughts on. Good afternoon. Was this a good
Yeah.
idea? Do you think this is a good idea? 3 years bachelor's degree?
I think it's a great idea. It's going to be a slow process getting there. Right now, we have 15 public and private colleges in Virginia and some higher education officials in Ohio, plus a couple nonprofit organizations working together to create a proposal in the next 3 years on how to scale up the 3 year bachelor degree program from the typical 4 year that we see across the country. College is only 4 years because we say it's 4 years, but it doesn't have to be. There can be fewer extraneous curriculum requirements put on undergraduates. They can be forced to declare majors sooner in their career, and with more structure and leaner requirements, uh, students can graduate college for 25% less of the cost now without sacrificing educational content.
Okay, so do you think the main benefit here is the reduction of tuition? Is that the biggest motivation for why we should have this for serious consideration?
I think that has to be the selling point here for multiple constituencies, families, institutions themselves, and also state government, federal government. The bodies that are federally and at the state level funding these colleges. Colleges have a financial interest in keeping students on campus as long as possible because they make money from more tickets being sold in sports venues, from dining hall facilities featuring chain restaurants, from outside private companies building dorms or other buildings on campus. That all requires seats to make money. But at the same time, we're seeing school after school lay off staff. We're just seeing that at Temple University, at Syracuse University, raising tuition while not meeting enrollment figures in order to recoup lost money. This is because the higher education model is broken. So instead of thinking about college as a 4 year place that is unaffordable where you can find yourself, we need to think about it more as a more compact, leaner institution that is a launching pad for people's careers and adult life. So we need to kind of reimagine what higher ed is using more outside the box thinking and applying that Silicon Valley disruption model to higher education.
Okay, now, Zach, I'm not an expert here, but would you say having 3 year bachelor's degrees potentially could also reduce student debt? Because depending on the amount of debt students have, it can actually delay some major life decisions.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away 1 year of tuition, you're down 25% of the costs. So right there, that's a win. But that's also not sufficient. We also need to be seeing universities get smaller. We don't need all these extraneous offices for student life that make college more of a sleepaway camp than a place for study. We also don't need all of these far left courses that have replaced traditional curriculum in first year curriculum, or the amount of electives that do not contribute to an academically serious plan of study or preparation for future skills in life. There is a mountain of overhead every time colleges open up a new diversity office to appease a DEI agenda. There is a mountain of overhead every time they introduce a new minor or certificate program just to make more money out of it. One course we're covering at Campus Reform is a graduate certificate for women in technology. It's not a bachelor's degree and it's not a master's degree. So the use value of it is very, very small. Colleges need to get rid of these frills and get back down to basics. So I think a 3 year degree is in line with that path forward that universities need to take if they want to be financially sustainable and viable institutions.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, why has tuition been increasing so much? Can you tell us what are some of the reasons why it's going much faster than the current inflation rate?
Yes, there's two reasons for it. One, universities do it because they can. That's really the most basic thing. They think they are exempt from the market and they think they are entitled to whatever price they set because students, no matter what, will want to go there. That trend, though, is proving false. We're seeing a lot of students flock away from the most expensive universities, which are now concentrated in the Northeast and at $100,000 a year, to Southern schools where they are cheaper and a little more affordable and practical. The second reason is because the growth in spending and overhead at these colleges doesn't come from curriculum and academic support. It comes from the administrative bloat of student life offices, of student services offices. Colleges think they need to be everything to everyone, but that gets away from the point that they are there to teach the best and brightest of our country. If you try to make everyone happy, you make no one happy. And in that vain attempt to do it, you have to spend millions of dollars more on things that students really just don't need. So it is the wrong priorities and it is a sense of greed, and both need to be corrected.
So with 3 years, graduates can also get into the workforce faster, so that's another benefit. But do you think 3 years, students can get the same quality, same level of quality compared to 4 years?
Absolutely. We don't need electives to the extent we do. I graduated from NYU with two majors in 3.5 years because I did not take electives. And I also had AP credits and internship credits. We also don't need 3 months summer vacation and a month-long winter break. These are customs we have now based on old agrarian calendars from when our country had no computers, no trains, no planes. It's totally outdated. We can have more compact academic calendars that more closely mirror the calendar year. And we can also get rid of some of the fluff that colleges are offering. Be stricter about leave of absences. Be stricter about when students need to declare a major. By end of freshman year instead of end of sophomore year. Give them a limited range of electives to take rather than telling them it's time to explore who you are, do whatever you want. College is not a place for self-exploration. It is a place for intellectual development that precedes our more formative years in our mid to late 20s when we are struggling through our first jobs and first apartments. That's when people realize who they are, not in a dorm room subsidized by their parents and the taxpayer.
Okay, Zachary, just one final question here. Can you give us some advice to those parents or students who are considering taking different classes, considering different schools? Well, what's your advice to these people?
My advice is figure out what you want as soon as you can and give yourself a deadline to do that, because the sooner you declare a major and the sooner you start working on those major requirements, the more efficient your path forward will be. I am proof that if you do it correctly and you strategize it, you can double major in less than 4 years if you're smart about what classes you take and how you do it. No matter what major you take in college, I think it's always best to double major because you will always benefit intellectually, financially, later in life from that cross set of skills and understanding how different skill sets can be applied and transferred in different contexts. Because the reality is so few of us actually spend the rest of our lives working in the field we majored in. It's better to focus on what you're passionate about and what can give you a gainful future later in life, and then use those skills, whether it's the writing, critical thinking, mathematics, and then leverage them later in life.
Okay, Zachary, well said. Thank you for speaking with us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.